Great day in the morning. Today started off fast and furious already. This is Peak out here in Singapore. I'm so happy to see you guys, be here with you guys. I missed an entire day. I don't even know how that happened, but I'm here, y'all. I'm excited. I had a conversation with somebody early yesterday morning, and they were kind of frustrated. They were kind of feeling some kind of way, and though they didn't say it out loud, I could feel it. So I wanted to check in with her, and I made an appointment to talk to her later that evening. And of course, we caught up and we found out what was going on and everything, and I felt badly for her. So we discussed a couple of things. We talked around the situation sometimes, and then we got excited about what was, available to her, what opportunities were around her. So I felt really good about that. Um, but finally, I had to, cut the phone off, and I had to sit and think about my own life. Not everything goes my way. I don't always have the people around me who would encourage me. I have a lot of people around me who would rather tell me what to do or yell at me rather than um, sit with me and find something for me to be excited about and get me excited as well. And not to say that I always need that, but I know that the way you present information, the way you present advice really, really matters. Um, so for me, being a coach is much like being a teacher. If I were in a teaching situation in a classroom full of, let's say, 20, 30 students, right? I need to know enough about each of those students to be able to deliver my message in general and it reach the majority of the students. And then when I have to, one by one, I'll speak to the people who maybe don't get it or are struggling a little bit while the rest of them work. But that means that I need to connect with my client. That means I need to really understand what all is going on with my client outside of the problem that I'm there to coach her through. That isn't always the case with most coaches. And the difficult thing on top of all of that is most coaches are still human. We're not robots. We don't have all these things like automatically recorded and ready for you to just pick up and listen. We're trying to give you the human touch. We're trying to make sure that we connect with you in the real world. Maybe it's through a phone call, maybe it's in person, but we need to connect with you at some point, and then you need to trust us enough to tell us all of what's going on. Now, what I find a lot of times with my clients is I don't get the whole story until later. I don't get the whole story until I find out that I was headed down the wrong path as far as advice is concerned. Honestly, nothing in this world equips me to know you unless you tell me what's going on. And that does come from a place of trust. That does come from a place of, okay, she does have my best interest at heart. I need to tell her everything. When you go to a doctor, you do not hesitate. You tell them all the symptoms. Even though most times when you step foot in a damn doctor's office and take that, get the number to um, get in line or whatever, most of your symptoms have disappeared. I don't know. It's a magical thing about doctors' rooms. All the symptoms disappear. But even then, you need to be able to recall what those symptoms are, because if you don't tell the doctor all of those symptoms, one symptom missing could mean the difference between a good diagnosis and a bad one. Bad meaning to say that they're practicing medicine, right? They're practicing what they know, and based on what you tell them, they can only give you so much. So with that in mind, yes, you need trust between your coach and yourself. You need to be able to tell them everything that's going on. You also need to be able to tell them the little things. And a lot of times, the little things are things that you don't think are significant to the problem at hand, but they are. And of course, hindsight is 2020. So let me give you an example, just so you understand what I'm getting at. My daughter, very, very creative young girl. She is very gregarious. She has a happy disposition. She loves speaking to people. She talks all day long, except for when she makes a mistake. And then suddenly she clams up. She looks like a deer in the headlights. She has this like blank stare going on, and I can't reach her. Suddenly she's gone somewhere else and I can't reach her. So it's my job to make her laugh, make her feel comfortable again, and then explain the situation at hand. Now, sometimes I do use a stern voice to snap her out of whatever rant mode she happens to be in. And sometimes, depending on how severe that look on her face is, I need to find a way for her to actually connect to me, as in maybe she needs a hug. Maybe she needs for me to distract her with stupid funny faces while I'm in the midst of telling her off. Whatever the case may be, I need to show her that I see her, that I understand, while I still teach her whatever I need to teach her, because bottom line is I am a teacher, I'm a mom, I gotta teach her some stuff. I also know that if I off the bat react the way my mom used to when I was a kid. Now my mom's not like this anymore, but when I was a kid, the first thing she'd be like was she'd rant and rave and throw things, and she'd get upset because I should know better. Sure, I should know better, but unless I'm actually taught why, which back in the day they didn't believe in explaining why, just do it this way. Um, her first reaction was to fly off the handle and yell at me. So then I knew that I was in trouble and I knew I had to figure it out. And it wasn't something where she would necessarily tell me why I was wrong or what I had done wrong, but I needed to figure it out quick, fast, and in a hurry. So if I do that with my daughter, she's going to check out the rest of the day. Now, she and I have gotten to a place of really great communication where she understands, hey, a bad attitude means the information is not going to go in as easily, and it's going to take you that much longer to figure out what it is that I'm trying to say and then get your work done, and then you can go and play. It's like you're in homework jail for a little while because you're already in a bad attitude and you still got some work to do. I know that in that moment, I can't afford to yell and fly off the handle and leave it at that. If I have to yell, I need to explain myself. If I have to show my temper a little bit, I need to sit down and explain why I was upset. And it's never any intention of mine to make her feel bad when I'm showing my temper. A lot of times it's for me to release, which I've gotten really, really good in the last several years because I don't really show my temper like that anymore. I also know if I were to leave things as they are and not give her the advice she needs, I stand a chance at losing her, where this becomes a habit, a cycle where she makes a mistake, I get mad, she feels unloved and unappreciated and invisible, and she slowly shuts down and pushes away from me. I don't want that. So I overextend myself, I make sure I explain myself, I make sure that she understands. Now that's a child and she lives in my house. She's with me 24/7 all the time, right? So we have no choice but to talk it out a lot. But when it comes to clients, it's different. You maybe speak to them once a week. Maybe you have them in a group setting where they check in every day and they talk about what they've done and what they haven't done, what they're thinking about doing, what they're worried about doing, all of those things. Maybe they're thinking of doing that. So in a group setting, I understand you want to give 100%, but I would never feel comfortable with putting someone on blast and putting their business out for the world to see to kind of tell them up. I would never do that in a group setting, mostly because I understand team mentality. I don't want to upset anyone. I do want to shake things up. I am a master of disruption, but it's not to upset you. It's to put your thinking cap on. It's to put you in a place where you understand, hey, okay, the way I was thinking may not be the only way to think about it. Let me think about something different. Let me introduce a new opportunity, a new possibility. And then you consider that and see how your life goes. But in a group setting, I get nervous about doing things like that because I don't want to single any one person out. I was always taught that if you have a grievance with someone, you direct it to them on their own, in private. I remember it used to be a scare tactic. There were 3 of us growing up in the house with my mom, right? It used to be a scare tactic. I know that if I can hear my mom yelling at one of my brothers, I knew that the next mistake I made, no matter how small it was, I was going to get it. It was almost like, okay, mom is on it right now. She's really looking for anything that we're doing wrong. You better watch yourself. And I know a lot of people who understand that feeling. A lot of times when one person is getting in trouble, you will avoid the room they're getting in trouble with just to make sure you don't get pulled into it. So for me, in a group setting, I get nervous about doing stuff like that. And it's not to say that I'm not a good coach. I'm a bloody good coach. I just don't feel the need to pull you up in front of everybody. Now, if there is a teachable moment, absolutely, I will make sure that the group knows it. The group knows it. You get the feedback, maybe not so privately, but your name is not attached. And you don't feel like you're being put on Front Street. You don't feel like you're being ostracized or, put in blocks. Whenever I think of that, I think of someone being put in a public square in blocks for people to throw tomatoes at them. And that's an extreme medieval image, but that's how I feel about it. So obviously everyone does things differently, but for me, this makes me nervous because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I want you to grow. I don't want you to shrink. And if you feel afraid of me, if you feel like you're being ostracized by me, chances are you're going to shrink back and undo a lot of the work that we've done already. Now, maybe that's because I deal with emotions. There's no way to turn me off. There's no way to turn me off. A lot of people, when they talk business, right, if they teach business or if they maybe teach finance, maybe they teach organization, time management, stuff like that, There are very concrete things that you can measure, but when it comes to emotion, there's no way to measure it. My pain threshold is different from your pain threshold. What bothers you may not bother me at all, or may bother me worse. I don't know how to gauge that. And unless we speak the exact same language, there's no way to really gauge that. So I have to be careful. I have to put you first. I have to put compassion first. And that's why I entitled this Honey or Vinegar. That old saying that you catch more flies with honey than you do vinegar. But it's not because I want to be airy fairy, lovey dovey, all that. I am. But there's a side of me that's kind of stern and strict as well when I need to be. I know when I tell my daughter something and I'm trying to lift her spirits and make her feel excited about what I want her to do, that she can get carried away with the excitement and the fun that I'm presenting, that she forgets that she still needs to do work. So sometimes I need to bring the hammer down, so to speak. I need to change the mood and bring her back to reality and say, hey, as much as you're having fun right now and I want you to have fun because I wanted you to change your mood, you still got work to do. So I'm able to do that. My hands, my voice, my words, both nurture and correct. But at the center of everything that I do, you exist. You are the center of everything I do. I'm putting all of my experiences, all of my emotions, all of my input, output, everything, right? From a lifetime of various experiences to work to make sure that you get the best possible service. I'm not going to get it every time. It really depends on you too. You got to put in the work and you got to tell me the truth. I'm not going to get it every time. But let's say you put in 100% effort. I'm able to put in 100% effort too, and we can really make some strides. But sometimes, as hard as it may be, as frustrated as I may be, sometimes I need to deal with my clients with kid gloves. Maybe they're so pained. Maybe they're so upset. Now, I've had clients that go on and on about the same complaint in different forms for 6 months straight, at which point I've yelled. I have lost my temper in a client meeting. I've yelled and I've told them off to the point that they yelled back and then they didn't want to talk to me. But guess what? They know I love them. They know I want to see them succeed. And they know that I have their best interests at heart. So eventually, once they're done licking their wounds, they will come back. But in that moment, obviously, I've hurt some feelings on purpose because I'm tired of hearing the same thing over and over again. It's not for me. It's because she needs to understand that she's saying the same thing over and over again. I've had people that I work with, not necessarily in a client capacity because I don't think they see me as a coach, but I've had people who call me. Whenever things are going wrong, they can't seem to make sense out of something. They're upset, they're confused. They call me. They call me and they ask for advice. Without saying that it's advice, they normally say, girlfriend chat, I need to catch up with you. Okay, fine. But usually they lead off with everything that they got going on in their life. And I have no problem with that. And sometimes I need to calm them down and say, hey, you know what? This is just the way it is. This is what you're missing. Slow everything down and cut everything out and see what falls into place. When you have too much going on, it's too much noise. It's too much static. You can't get the real message going on. So if you stop everything for a day, you'll know what's really important and what's not. It'll shake itself out. Now imagine if I was money oriented. All I would care about is whether that person was going to pay me for the girlfriend chat or not. But that's not who I am. I can't turn this off. A girlfriend chat to me really is therapy. It really is counseling. I still have to be me. I still have to bring my advice and bring my experiences and bring my insight into the situation. I'm still connected to spirit, so whenever you come and sit down and talk to me, if I get a message at the same time, I'm gonna tell you. It's just the way. I cannot shut this off. This is who I am now. So make no mistake, whether you're a paid coach or you're a very, very trusted ally and friend, it matters how you deliver the message. It matters how you give the person the feedback. Now, in one situation just recently, I had two people come and tell me that their coach was going through something. They could feel it. They could feel it in all of the advice that this person was giving. And I felt badly for them. And I was thinking, wow, this is really strange. Two people. So I sat down and I listened to the situation. And in one case, I gave the exact same information and feedback that the coach did. But for some reason, my delivery actually entered the brain. The other delivery shut her down. So this was a reminder to me that your delivery really matters. And I'm not saying mollycoddle people. I'm not saying hold their hand through everything and make them feel like, oh, poor you, well, let's talk about how we can do this instead. I'm not saying that. But I am saying that as a coach, I need to check my feelings at the door. I need to put aside whatever I'm upset about and make sure that that doesn't filter what I'm saying, the message I'm trying to give. It matters to me. This is important to me because this is the legacy I want to leave behind. Yes, I will get upset with you. Yes, I will feel very deeply for you. But even then, I need to make sure that I stay steady so I can give you the best possible advice, the best possible counsel. Think of it as royalty and their most trusted ministers. As much as the kingdom may be collapsing and I'm a part of it and I'm upset and I want to do something about it, if the king comes to me for advice, for counsel, I need to put aside my feelings and think rationally about what can and can't be done. What are the repercussions of all the options that we have before us? Which is the path of least resistance to upset as few people's lives as possible, and how can we fix the situation at hand? That's what I need to do for my business as well. Give you the best possible counsel when I stand on steady ground. And even if my own kingdom is floating away because it's being crushed by the sea or whatever, I need to get to a place where I am grounded before I can serve you. So trust me when I say the delivery matters. I've seen it in 1,000 different situations. Parents who yell at their kids versus parents who sit their kids down and explain things. Teachers who yell and yell and yell because they're just frustrated with a system that doesn't really cater to teaching more than it does marking and grades and results. I've seen situations where bosses are upset with their management, so they take it out on their employees. Because let's face it, if the boss was happy, they would take the time to explain to you. If the boss is under the gun and there's a fire to be put out, they're not going to have that much time to talk to you, which means how quickly can I get the message out, and I really don't care if you get it or not. It matters, you guys. When they say hurt people, yeah, it's true. Because we're never taught how to process those emotions. We're never taught how to dig deep and figure out, okay, where is it coming from? Why does this hurt so much? Why is there pain? Where do I go with this? We're not taught to, okay, when you're upset, take some time for yourself. No. Go push, go do, finish this, finish that. You've got so many things on your plate. How are you going to you can't take a break right now. Go do what you got to do. This mad rush and this multitasking scatterbrain mentality we got going on in society, because an Instagram feed is the definition of scatterbrained. It drives our community and our culture. And if we don't teach each other how to focus, reset, refocus, release, all of those things, we're going to have a really tough time, and we will have no choice but to send it out somehow, which is pass it on to the next person so we can get on our merry way. And trust me, even then when you pass it on to the next person, it's just a quick fix. It's going to come back again in another form, but yeah, for the moment you feel better. I love you guys. You guys matter to me. I need you guys to understand that there is a way to do things where you can garner support as you go along, or make enemies everywhere you go. I'll give you another example. Once upon a time, right? And the originals for that matter, I've been watching both, right? The Evil Queen and Rumpelstiltskin. All they do is favor for a favor, which means you owe me, because I've done something for you. So when I want to collect, you better be ready to give it to me. Whereas Snow White, Prince Charming, Emma Swan, Henry, they do the same thing. They do favors for people, but they don't call it a favor. They call it I helped. I'll help wherever I can. I will put myself on, my life on the line. I'll do whatever I can to help you. So then when they need help, when they go ask for help, not to collect on a favor, they ask for help, people don't hesitate. Oh, absolutely. What do you need? I'm there for you. Because you were there for me, I'm there for you. Now they're doing the same thing, but the intention behind it is different. Same thing with the originals. Klaus Michelson, bloodthirsty, violent as can be, only understands power. Why? Because he's terrified. So all he does is scare people into doing what he needs them to do, and he manipulates situations until he gets what he wants because he doesn't care about anyone or anything along the way, as long as he's satisfied until he gets what he wants. But people like Marcel and Marcel and oh gosh, I'm forgetting names now. Some of the witches, Davina Claire, and goodness, I can't remember, but the young lady who is a hybrid. Those people do things with the rest of the community in mind. They do the same thing. They do make sure that their families are taken care of, but they try as much as possible to leave little to no collateral damage. How can they do something and get through to what they need without hurting anyone if they can help it? Cami was a great example. They did all they could to help each other. They understood that all these people were humans that were involved. There was a human element to them, and they were just fighting for survival because, in the French Quarter, there's nothing but crazy going on all the time, according to the originals. It's always a life or death situation. It's always somebody against somebody else. If you don't die, I will die kind of situation. But the point is, they're all doing the same thing. They're all protecting their family, but the way they go about it either garners them a bunch of enemies or they garner support along the way. The same thing with coaching. I could make sure you get the breakthrough you need. I could force it, but you'll hate me for it. You probably never come back. And that also means that you're going to tell everybody that she's completely crazy. Don't trust her. She likes to yell and put you in your place as much as possible. Whereas the way I do things is to make sure that you understand that I really do take your situation into consideration. I've considered a lot of different options based on what you've told me. And I'm trying to make sure that you've thought about all the collateral damage that you could possibly incur if you decide on one of many different ways that are possible. Ultimately, I want you to save yourself, to learn to save yourself. But the way I teach you to save yourself matters. If I tell you to bulldoze everyone in your path and get to what you need to get, sure, you'll get there. You probably get there really fast, but you probably won't stay there either, because the next person will be out to get revenge over and over again. You will have so many people that want to get you or knock you back down that what was the point in getting there so fast anyway? But if I treat you like you are human, if I treat you like you are a full person with feelings and a past that determine your beliefs right now, that also, determine your actions, then I can actually get you to a place where you learn to think about your life in a 360-degree holistic point of view. I can get you to see all sides of the situation before you go and decide and make a choice in your life. And I can teach you how you can take back some of those choices too, with little to no collateral damage. And that's what I want. To teach you how to survive. To teach you how to thrive. To teach you how much control you really do have. But the delivery really matters. Honey and Vinegar is the same as hero versus villain. They're all human. They all have been hurt. But what they choose to focus on and how they choose to arrive at their conclusion makes or breaks their life. The only reason Regina from Once Upon a Time continually feels heartbreak is because she continually broke hearts along the way. There was no shortage of enemies for her. And for a long time, while she was trying to change her ways, people were reluctant to see her as someone who was capable of change. But I know better than anyone, people are capable of change, and that's for the better or worse. Good people change for worse all the time. Bad people change for better all the time. It really does. Your delivery matters more than you think. I love you guys. I'll catch you again soon. Bye.